The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
This morning and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, your station for fresh news, smart talk all day. Sorry we starting the show late. I got to blame my producer and Ronnie Butler. They are a problem. Do and Annie do. What a wonderful and beautiful morning. You're on the clock. It's Tuesday the 27th of February, and we've got, I think, an exciting conversation this morning. From Hentai Productions, organizers of the Geek Out will be joining me to discuss what we learned yesterday in the article Banned Cinema Slam's film rating that was in yesterday's Tribune. So we're going to talk a bit about the Geek Out community's response to the Plays and Film Board, or the Film and Plays Board, Control Board's decision to censor or label this particular film not approved for public viewing. We're going to talk a bit about the language used. We're going to reference the act that governs the procedures and the operation of the Control Board. And I got a couple of references to films and plays that have been censored. So let's get the show started. I've got a lot of housekeeping this morning. I want to start by sharing some very sad news. When we share the news of a death in the community and the country, it's always a sad day for some people. Today, with a very, very heavy heart, I want to send condolences to the family, friends, and loved ones of Miss Gaudette Farrington. Gaudette was a member of the class of 92 at Queens College, and her sudden passing, an absolute shock to all of us in the class of 92. And so on behalf of the Queens College class of 92 and the entire school community, we send condolences, prayers, thoughts to the family, friends, loved ones of Miss Gaudette Farrington. Anybody who leaves this earthly realm, we feel, leaves too soon. Even when it is our loved ones that have reached years we only hope to attain, even then we desire for a little more time. A little more time. A little more time. So let's hold a space for everyone experiencing loss and grief today. And I want to tell you also a little later about some opportunities to work with and process grief and loss that are available to people in the country. Mr. Reg Eldon is offering a wonderful service. The loss and grief recovery groups, 2 new groups are about to begin, one in the eastern side of the island on February 28th, and one on the western side of the island at NPCC on March 5th. I'm so sorry, I missed this notice. The Grief and Loss Recovery Group had an last night from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at New Providence Community Center, Blake Road. So for those who are interested in joining this program, you can contact the New Providence Community Center, Community Church out on Blake Road, or you can contact Mr. Reg Eldon at 427-5457. And these sessions, these opportunities are not just about recovering from the grief or loss of a loved one, but we can experience tremendous grief and loss in our lives in other ways: loss of a job, the loss of a family home, the loss of a community. And most people don't really acknowledge it, but the loss of a friend can be as traumatic as the loss of a significant other or family member. I've got some birthday shout-outs. I have day. I want to start with a birthday shout-out to Kefri Nash from her parents, Rukenya and Sakani, her grandparents, Kendall Funky Demerit, Ruby Christine, and H.O. Nash, her aunts and uncles, her cousins, and the rest of her big family, including the Spot family and Todd Catcher Productions family. We all say happy 16th birthday, Kefri. And guess who else is celebrating their sweet 16th birthday today? Oh, one of my favorite aunties. Happy birthday, and Esther Hannah Culmer. And Esther Hannah Culmer, known, first of all, happy birthday from the Hannah Hasty Times Executive Committee and the entire Hannah Hasty Times family. On your sweet 16th, Esther Hannah Culmer is known for the tremendous work she would have done in tourism and hospitality in the country, among other things. I also want to send a shout out to my good niece, Jeanne Poitier, my good cousin, my good nephew, Marcel Justin Green Sr. We got to send out happy birthdays to Mr. C.B. Moss, the C.B. Moss, and the best art teacher in the country, Enoe H. Harris Smith. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to Addis Hyla, Tilla Newbold. Happy birthday to the one and only member of the Guardian family, Nahaja Black. Even though you in Canada, we can't wait for you to come back. Not for a long time, just for a short time. You got to keep doing what you're doing, representing the country with integrity and professionalism, and we say thank you for that. Happy birthday to Edward Hubbard. Belated happy birthday to another QC comet, Howard Newbold. Belated happy birthday to Miss Rosemary Cole. And then tomorrow, here are a couple of people who are celebrating birthdays. Marjan Finlayson, one of our country's leading activists. Wal Voren. Now, I don't know Wal Voren's government name, but he's my Facebook friend. And happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Orchid Burnside from the Dungalik family. Happy birthday, Orchid. And happy birthday to Mr. Mark Bethel. We see him with this new improvisation comedy group called Impro Vibes. Shad Fur and Vividly Val, y'all make sure Mark has a great birthday. A couple more housekeeping notes before we get into the show. Like I say, my guest is going to join me at 10:30, but we got something to talk about before we get there. Quick notice, the Hannah Hasty Tynes Family Association would like to share with you that we're having a general meeting this Thursday, the 29th of August, of 2024, at 6:30 p.m. at St. John. That's 6 p.m. St. John's College. 6 p.m. St. John's College. Remember, we're planning for our Hannah Hasty Tynes family reunion. That's the 1st of August, 1st through 5th of August 2024. And in preparation for the family reunion, we having a South-Southern Walkathon. That's Saturday the 6th of April. Saturday the 6th of April 2024. Also, the walkathon will take place at St. John's College. I got a sponsor form. I'm going to need some people to sponsor me because we're going to be walking. We're going to walk the walls of St. John's. It's going to be a good time. So like I said, Mr. Edward Dean is going to join me at 10:30, and we are going to be talking about the board's decision to give the movie Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba to the Hashira training a D rating. And the D rating indicates that, I'm going to pull it up right now, a D rating actually reads as unapproved, unsuitable for public viewing. But before we get to that story, I have another quick story I want to put on the board. Last week, the Prime Minister, Philip Brave Davis, when addressing a group, had a very, what I think is controversial statement, but a statement I think that we should examine. The article is entitled, PM, Allowing Teachers to Administer Corporal Punishment May Have Merit. And so the question I have for you today is, should teachers be allowed to administer corporal punishment in schools? Should teachers be allowed to administer corporal punishment in schools? Let's throw that on the table. I got an interesting text here. Erin, let's make a radical change to Bahamian culture. Instead of sad funerals, let's have celebrations of life, parties and events for the deceased person. Well, texter, many people already do that. Now, it's not necessarily the funeral itself, right? But most families I know of, when they gather after the funeral, I think we call that the repast, right? When they gather after the funeral, they celebrate the lives of their lost loved ones. We see people sort of critiquing these events, and sometimes you get footage out of it, or, you know, maybe people are really drunk, and people say, how could they get so drunk at a funeral? Well, it's because they are attempting to process their grief by or through celebration. They're trying to figure out how to turn those feelings of grief into feelings of positivity. So I agree with you there, texter. I agree with you there. I got another text that came in that says, great show as usual. They use the term cut hip. It ain't kill me. It ain't kill Mr. Lang. It ain't kill Mr. Hubert Ingram. It ain't kill Brave. It ain't kill you. So it won't kill them. Which is what I thought, beatings don't typically kill you. But then, texter, we have from the article, PM allowing teachers to administer corporal punishment may have merits. I want to read from this article. Davis was responding to a suggestion by an audience member during a meeting with community and church leaders at the Fox Hill Community Center. Quote, let's go back to what it used to be or else we will continuously have this thing, crime. The resident told Davis, so that quote is from the resident speaking to the Prime Minister. The resident continues, any student that comes to that school and behaves rude, any teacher can take a cane and discipline them. That's what we need to do. After the audience applauded the man, Davis said, we have to perhaps look at that and take it into consideration. What you are speaking about is disciplining our children. You talk about the village. Part of the problem is teachers are now even afraid to the children go home and tell their mommy or daddy, and then mommy and daddy come back and beat them. The teachers he's referencing. Davis was in Fox Hill to discuss his government's approach to tackle crime. Corporal punishments in school is a divisive issue in the country. Last year, Minister of Education Glenys Hannah Martin said that the time had come to have a very serious discussion on corporal punishment in schools. I'm now going to read a quote. Well, we are now referencing what Education Minister Glenys Hannah Martin said. She was responding to a report that a police officer who was called to a primary school on Bimini to discipline a group of boys. One parent claimed her son was beaten so badly that his bruises were black and blue. Now, texter, this is the excerpt that I wanted. In the year 2000, there was a heated debate on corporal punishment in the Bahamas. That's 24 years ago. In 2000, there was a heated debate on corporal punishment in the Bahamas after a student of S.C. McPherson Junior High School died. The student, who had a heart disease, received 6 strokes with a stick in the palm of his hand. A short time later, he fainted and died. A jury in the coroner's court recommended that the teacher be charged with manslaughter. A jury in the coroner's court recommended that the teacher be charged with manslaughter. Following the decision, teachers across the country refused to enter classrooms, causing government schools to shut down for 3 days. In 2001, the Attorney General discontinued the case against the teacher. So, dear texter, it turns out that there is a potential, a possibility that it could kill them. Now, I am not saying that the beating killed the child. We want to make sure we don't mix up cause and correlation. But what I am saying is, no, you don't have the right to risk a child's life. Do we have the needed or requisite systems in place to ensure that when we deliver a corporal punishment, that we have taken the time to determine that this corporal punishment will not be a significant health risk to this individual child? The texter said these kids are not built for tough. I mean, okay, so they're not. And then we accept that, right? We accept that generations have passed, society has changed, and children maybe are not as strong as you. Or maybe their acceptance for physical abuse, right? The acceptance for physical abuse is what has shifted. And Texas says, yes, I believe that under the right protocols, teachers should be allowed to carry out corporal punishment. It's a very important and interesting discussion, but we're going to a break because my guest has joined me. We're going to bring that into the conversation we're having on the other side of this break with Mr. Edward Dean, organizer of a popular local event called The Geek Out. You're on the clock with Erin Green. Stay tuned to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. We'll be right back.
It's that time of year to join the movement. It's time for the annual Guardian Media's Healthy, Wealthy and Wise Fair, Saturday, March 2nd at the Mola Marathon. Starting at 10 a.m. Admission is free. Come and receive free health screenings by the walk-in clinic, fantastic product info, and sound financial advice. Participate in the exercise demonstrations by Natasha Brown, Outdoor Fitness Bahamas, and RF Exposure. There will also be a CPR demonstration by Superior Care, plus live performances by Blawdy, Johnny Cake, Shine, and Carrington McKenzie, ending with a Saxon superstar Junkanoo Rush Out. Join the movement. It's the annual Nassau Guardians Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise Fair, Saturday, March 2nd at the Mall Marathon.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Today, call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
You could imagine if somebody said, look here, we need to ban Ronnie Butler. His voice is just too silky. We cannot have this man out here singing to our wives and our girlfriends and our daughters, and worse yet, our mothers. You could imagine if they tried to censor the voice of Mr. Ronnie Butler. Good morning and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. You're on the clock with Erin Green, and joining me via Zoom is Mr. Edward Dean. Good morning, Mr. Dean.
Good morning, good morning. How is everyone?
I think everybody is good. I am good. It is the last week of February and there's still juju on the ground. This is turning out to be an excellent year. How are you doing?
All is well. Cannot complain, even though there's a lot of things that need to be discussed.
Yes, sir, and hopefully let's get through some of them today. So, I've asked Mr. Dean to join me in a conversation today after reading the article in yesterday's Tribune entitled Ban Film Rating, Demonic Content Among Reasons for Blocking Screening. Again, I'm going to ask Mr. Dean to introduce himself. I've told the audience that you are a member of, or a part of Hentai Productions, the organizers of the popular monthly event, The Geek Out.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. My name is Edward Dean, as you alluded to. I am one of the organizers and the founding members of the Geek Out, which is under Hentai Productions. Hentai Productions, we host a number of anime-related events, and the Geek Out is a monthly series that we host the last Sunday of every month.
Awesome. I see you guys have a Geek Con coming up at the end of this year?
Yes, ma'am. From the beginning of this year, even towards the end of last year, at our 5th year anniversary in October, we were laying the foundations. All roads lead to GomCon, which is going to be our full-scale international convention here in the Bahamas.
So
and
this is like Comic-Con, but in the Bahamas?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Woo!
It's been a long time coming.
Okay.
But we think that the communities are ready and we need to put the Bahamas on the international scale. Other Caribbean countries have already beaten us to it,
Okay.
but the Bahamas, we do it a bit better.
Right. And then we have all of the infrastructure in place to really blossom an international conference. So,
In terms of infrastructure, still need a few more bigger convention halls that aren't just hotel based.
okay, good.
More bigger spaces, but we do appreciate all of the hotels that are willing to work with us. It's just something unique that the Bahamas can offer, and it's best that we provide it for everybody.
All right.
A bigger space
Okay.
would be perfect.
Ideal. How diverse is the community of people who participate in Geek Out events? I call Geek Out itself a community. But you have anime. I know you have cosplay. How diverse is the community?
Well, so the Geek Out was originally created just to show movies, but we understood that there's more little pools, communities out there. So if we provide a central hub for all them to come together, the interaction will be great. So we have lovers, comic book lovers, we have cosplayers, we have esports, we have gaming, we cover it all.
Excellent. I know you also, at one of your recent events, one of the exhibitors produced food items from a recipe book based on an anime series.
Yes, ma'am. Our vendors are very diverse. We don't only have vendors that do Bahamian cuisine. We have chefs and others who are diverse in all cuisine. We usually have a chef battle, which culminates in different chefs coming to portray different recipes from anime, especially the popular anime Food Wars.
Food Wars. Okay, that's awesome. And tell the audience, what is anime and how popular is it globally, regionally, and locally?
So anime is just referred to animation. So Japanese art style or Japanese cartoons. But anime, how can I say this? Anime in its simplest form is cartoons, but not all cartoons are anime. And anime is geared towards not only just children, but for the adults as well. So that's the misconception where people think, oh, anime is a cartoon, so it's for kids. Anime is not just for kids.
Right.
Just like how growing up, we grew up with South Park and Family Guy and The Simpsons, which are cartoons, but they're not geared for just kids.
Right. When I was very small, I was watching cartoons like Chip and Dale on Disney Channel, where it was obviously for kids, but I'm 47, and so I know kids who grew up with South Park and American Dad, The Simpsons, really thinking that they were for kids. But the main audience for those forms of animation are adults.
Yeah, but even when you look back at the early cartoons that used to be displayed, even though they were geared for kids, some of the themes and some of the toning and animation styles were geared for adolescents, teens, and young adults. Look at Batman the Animated Series.
Well, no, let's go a little further. Tom and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry had a lot of cartoon violence. You had most of the Hanna-Barbera, Space Ghost. You had the Transformers, He-Man, She-Ra. You had all these cartoons.
Yeah.
That would, bulky people just attacking each other, and then we all know the popular Power Rangers.
Right. And
which isn't
go on.
Which isn't just, to say that this is just for little kids. No, the target audience is not just young children. It's the adolescents, it's the generations to continue the art form. If you just solely focus on children, then your art form and style is going to become narrow and then eventually just gets outgrown.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I was saying Tom and Jerry, Wile E. Coyote are violent
All the Looney Tunes.
cartoons.
All the Looney Tunes.
G.I. Joe, I mean, what an adult theme. They fight in wars,
Yeah.
global wars, right? Very interesting. Okay, so the movie was recently rated D. That means unsuitable for public viewing. I want to make a point to say that although the word banned was used in the article title, banned is not exactly what happened, because if a movie or a play was banned, like if a movie was banned, it could not be shown anywhere in the country, not on a private service, or not in a family or community gathering. But what has happened is that the Plays and Film Control Board censor films and plays, or they deem them unsuitable for in cinemas and theaters. So this movie was recently rated D, unsuitable for public viewing. It's called Demon Slayer, but the question I have for you, sir, is it demonic in the ways that the Plays and Film Board's commentary suggest?
Not to my knowledge, especially since this is their second film and the first Demon Slayer movie, Mugen Train, which became the highest grossing animated film to date, was actually premiered and showed here. This is their second movie. The first movie was okay. Fusion showed the first movie because the Geek Out and the Cosplayer 242 Nation, we had an event at Fusion where we promoted not only Demon Slayer, Mugen Train, but Mortal Kombat. Mm-hmm. So this took us, the community, by surprise when we said, oh, they're going to, say it's unwatchable when this is the second time. This is the second movie. If they wanted to say it had demonic undertones before, then they could have said that with the first movie. Now, Demon Slayer the name can be misleading, but it's basically a group that defends normal, regular people from the unseen, like demonic entities.
So it's like a Marvel movie, but in a different theme.
You could, if that's how you want to portray it, you could say that like that. You have these group of individuals who have mastered different techniques that assist the regular people from things that they can't see, like curses and other entities.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. I mean, from the name, when I see Demon Slayer, I'm thinking, but these got to be the good guys because they trying to contain the demons. Like they're trying to destroy them. And so just from reading the title, I didn't get that impression. Here's another comment from the board I shared in the article, right? The Tikoyo Bridgewater Fusion's chief lawyer, in his commentary, he says that the board cited that the movie had no storyline. Now, one thing I know about anime is all story. Like, and they take a great amount of time developing a story. And some of the stories are actually based in Japanese myth and mythology, and some of the stories are based in real events, real Japanese culture.
Yes, ma'am. So when you look at anime and cartoons, when we grew up and we could tell the slight difference between a cartoon, Scooby-Doo just had regular episodes. There wasn't a story to follow along each episode where you had to religiously go and watch. But through the introduction of anime in the Western side, with like Toonami that showed Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon, it had us running home after school to make sure we catch that episode. Because if we miss that episode, then the next episode, we're going to be behind.
Yeah.
Because anime follows a story. There's always a story because the anime that gets animated comes with a collection of books, a manga series. So they're portraying a literal book, a storied book in the animation form. To say it has no storyline just means that you either don't understand the concept or you haven't been following or you know what anime is. You have an inkling of what anime is or the anime. So I mean, Demon Slayer is on Netflix. You could binge watch it. So
Right.
you could have an inkling or understanding of what's going on.
And the critique being members of the community. When you read the theaters and cinemas regulations, it is, I think, in chapter 384. If you're searching for it, you can search theaters and cinemas censorship regulations. It indicates that the board may, after, it says, a synopsis of every film or series of films and of every play intended to be presented at any exhibition or public performance, and copies of all posters advertising the same shall be sent to the board not less than 14 days. Is it possible that if the company petitioned and said to the board, hey, this is actually a part of a series, and if this sitting of the board, this composition of the board, were to watch the first film as a part of the process of assessing the certification for the second film, do you think that they may have a different position on it?
That's one way to look at it. You can go that route, or the board can have members who have an understanding of that specific genre. Film and theater is so wide and broad. There's so many different genres.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not accustomed to, or if you have an interest in this specific genre, it can be hard for you to, one, enjoy it or follow along, especially when we look at international films, because it's not just anime, but international on the whole. We don't have a lot of, appreciation for those films because we don't understand those languages. I'm interested because I love international films. It gives you a different perspective on how to appreciate how this film is from this specific country, right? It gives you a little example or a little hint of this country's culture, and that's how we show appreciation. Saying that there's no storyline or such and that, it just means that you didn't seek to understand, or you didn't seek the appropriate measures to gauge it properly.
Absolutely. I found great difficulty finding information about the Plays and Film Control Board. They have a Facebook page, but it has not been updated, or nothing has been added, I think, for a minute. Maybe 2021 was the last post. But I found this excerpt from a website called Bahamas Film Culture Project, and it has a short description of the Bahamas Plays and Film Control Board. Within the description, it says, all panels must consist, so the board must consist of a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 7 persons, including the chairman, 3 representative. So a question I have for you, would we improve this process if we sort of changed amended the regulations and said that the board must consist of maybe a person under the age of 25 but over the age of 18? Say maybe over the age of 21 and under the age of 30. The stipulation could be that they are a student in a UB film course, or they are recommended by a arts or culture institution in the country, like National Art Gallery of the Bahamas. But, when you reference it, perhaps it is the lack of understanding about the genre, about the art form that's led them to this decision. Should the board be differently composed and include a young person or include an arts student?
From my point of view, because that is an organization, I can't go and tell them how to run.
Now, a government-initiated body, so you can give recommendations and call it a consultation, particularly since you're a stakeholder in the space. You can make recommendations about the composition or the function of an agency of this nature.
If I would recommend something, it would be what most other government agencies do, get consultation. Like there's if you don't understand, but you're restricted to having 7, then you can reach out to members in the community to critique it for you.
Absolutely.
There's so many different groups because even though hentai production, like we're mostly to the forefront, there are many other groups that could have critiqued it.
Mm-hmm.
There's many other individuals who could have critiqued it. A lot of artists. We have so many artists and film directors here who could have critiqued it if you were unfamiliar with the genre.
Absolutely.
But to just flat out go and say, no storyline, it's in a different language, you wouldn't grasp the concept. That's just speaking from your understanding. And that wouldn't speak to the populace who would understand. So you saying it's unwatchable is just deterring the people who would enjoy the film from seeing it, and then stopping the people who don't know coming and getting an experience.
Absolutely. So this is not the first film to be censored or given the rating D, which means unsuitable for public viewing. We know back in 2006, the board gave that same rating to the movie Brokeback Mountain. There's an article I found in the from the Canadian Broadcasting Channel. Bahamas bans Brokeback, and this is only one of many articles. In fact, I found more international articles about the Bahamas, quote unquote, banning Brokeback than I found articles or websites referencing the film board itself, right? And so in 2006, the world watched as the Bahamas Film Control Board put the D rating, unsuitable for public viewing, on Brokeback Mountain. I also found an article from a web page called Bahamas Chronicle, written by Oswald Brown, from October 2021. The title is Why Island in the Sun was banned in the Bahamas. It says, when it was released in 1957, the movie Island in the Sun was banned in the Bahamas because the Bahamas Film Censor Board decided that it would not be in the public's interest for the film to be shown in the Bahamas, according to an article written at the time by the Associated Press in 1957. To fully understand why the Bahamas Film Censor Board reached this decision, it's necessary to keep in mind that under the white United Bahamian Party political leadership of the Bahamas, the British colony was as rigidly segregated as Birmingham, Alabama, or any of the Southern American cities where racial segregation was enforced. Mr. Dean, I'm going to go to a call, and then we're going to come back. I have one more article to reference, and we can read some texts for you to respond to. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you doing? Wonderful. Do you know that historically, right, whenever the Bahamas introduces something dark to the society, you have some people in the background loving it, like serial killer movies, and then we have a bunch of serial killers showing up. And we always look like we like the depraved and the dark stuff. These people who you see on plays in film board, they did a good job, you know. Let me tell you why I say that. If we had a bunch of movies, like right now, they got a movie called Bakhmut in Russian, right? Killing, murder. You want this come to our country? It's here, you know. It's here already, but it stemmed from someplace. Those manga movies, right?
Now, hold on, pause.
The pornography and all that.
Manga is a subgenre.
Manga and hentai and all those, if you understand where they come from. Hentai is Japanese sex. That Japanese porn. Manga is about killing and about, but it has a historical makeup of Japanese form. But what I'm trying to say, introduce a little 9-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old to these kind of things. Let me tell you something. That's why we got these trigger fella, 16, 17, 18-year-old fellas who just popping off. You know what they have? They don't have no emotion.
So
they grab the gun and they bam, there goes a head.
Can I ask you a couple questions?
Go ahead.
Should we ban movies like American Gangster?
All of them.
Should we ban
Rambo,
The Godfather?
All of them.
We should have banned all of them.
All of them.
Okay,
You know
I
what
just...
bad movies, they teach you how to kill. Most of the movies that were hits, check them out. Even with Denzel Washington and all these kind of guys. Clint Eastwood, they were serial killers.
What about all the Western movies?
All of them were serial killers.
The cowboys shooting the Indians.
Serial killers.
And what about...
Hollywood make them look good.
What about the martial arts movies?
Serial killers.
So what we can watch?
Gun, this one, the next one.
What we can watch? Z&S?
Of course.
Okay, Thank you. Yeah, man. Thank you very much.
I remember 1968, Luther Vandross was on that, the first the first Sesame Street show. What I'm trying to say, right, it was a different era and different time, but if you feed your children poison water, sanguination, the bloody water,
okay,
what do
so
you think they can grow up with?
Last question. The board could have given this movie a rating.
It's a dark movie.
But hold on.
Literally going to watch it.
It could have given the movie the rating C, which is suitable for adults only. Persons under 18 years are not admitted with or without an adult. Wouldn't C have been a suitable rating?
What does adult mean or adolescent mean? You could have an 18-year-old who don't have no sense. Adolescent.
Okay, so
or whatever.
Should we right? But okay, so could we?
Our babies to stupidity.
Could we raise that age to 21 then and say? Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Watching a movie is like watching or putting. Would you put a loaded gun in an 18-year-old hand?
No.
Okay. Do you know why they carry soldiers at 17, 18, 19 to war?
Because their brains haven't formed yet and they're very malleable.
So why you can put a child in the front to watch my porn or anything?
Now, hold on, caller. My guest is reminding us, though, that we routinely recruit 18-year-olds into the police force, into the defense force.
And they are adolescents.
At 18,
and when they
at 18, you can vote in this country.
Trained, guess what happened?
Listen.
They are fearless when they're trained. But when at a certain point in time they come, if you know the police code, you must be fearless. You can't be a fool and you can't talk on one another if you do certain things. But check out a lot of fellas out there.
Now, where you get this, you must be fearless from?
Man, listen to me.
I know, I'm being serious.
Coward be in the police force?
Yeah. I'm just being serious because, when
gun at you, you got to be able to apprehend persons who got guns and weapons.
All right. Thank you, caller.
We have at 18 you can vote in this country. If we can allow our 18-year-olds to make a decision of who gets to lead this country, movie should not be the end of the all.
Right. If we can send them to war, then can't they make a decision about what movie they want to watch?
Now, I mean, because the caller made some points. And what I would like to enlighten everybody with is that most of the things that come to our country is not just from media. Most of the stuff that comes from our country is a pandemic that is in every country. Every country exhibits crime. Every country exhibits violence because that's inherent. We were born in sin and inequity. We have dark sides to all humans. The main thing, though, is that we cannot just say that this specific thing brought this, because there's so many things that can correlate to it. If it was just that specific, then other countries would have done it, and then the world would have been a better place. So it's misguided to say that if we did this, because they tried to do it with the music as well. It's having an understanding that we have all of our own decisions and our actions, and sometimes our environment plays too big of a role on them.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to anime, and anime is just not coming to the Bahamas. Anime has been around from when I was a child. Cartoons, like we discussed, has been around since our gracious host has been a child.
Right. I started watching cartoons with my father, so I understand.
Saturday morning cartoons have been around. These have been around in our society since the beginning. So to say that banning just this one movie, that's not going to be the solution to the problem
that we're facing. Mr. Dean, I would like to thank you for taking time out of your busy day. I know that you could only join us at 10:30. I'd like to make this more of a regular discussion. Right, and I think this is a great space for us to explore who we are as a people. I'm just out of time, so I just want to put some things on the table. There's an article from 2006 as well called "Film Ban Exposes Hypocrisy." It is in the publication B2B Weekly. The recent banning of the film Brokeback Mountain is exposing the kind of hypocritical thinking that we have in society, lawyer and social activist Paul Moss told the Tribune. Mr. Moss said that a certain amount of censorship is necessary, but he believes that the Bahamas is liberal. Quotation, generally, I would not want the government to censor unilaterally on issues of national importance. I do believe that there is merit in the censorship of the kinds of movies that come into our country. But the thing is that we need to censor more movies. That's what Mr. Paul Moss said in 2006. Here's another text. Good morning, Erin. Public censorship in movies is a complex topic. On one hand, it aims to protect audiences from potentially harmful content, especially for specific age groups. On the other hand, it raises concerns about freedom of expression and artistic creativity. Huge anime fan. Another text. Great show as usual. Let me get this straight. You could consent for sex at a really young age, but you can't watch a cartoon. This is a crazy world we live in. Text says, don't ban any martial arts movies up in here. I remember being hooked on Wolverine 20 years ago, waiting for the next comic book series to come out. Wolverine had some adult themes. Who has more adult themes than Archie and Betty and Veronica? Another movie that was screened at Fusion called Jujutsu Kaisen also deals with individual slaying.
It's very similar to Demon Slayer. The name is just different.
Right. The powers that be got the movie banned because they don't want the public getting any ideas about how to get them out of power and off this planet. Well then.
Can I make one statement before we go?
Yes, sir.
And most of the last banning in 2006, a lot has changed from then, especially with the streaming platforms, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, and Disney Plus. Banning this movie is not going to stop the humans who are interested in the movie from accessing it because they have the internet and they have so many different platforms.
Absolutely.
It's the same with children. If you're going to teach your child to be responsible, then they're going to do childish things. Banning this movie is not going to solve the problem because in this day and age of technology, we have access to everything on our phones.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Dean. Oh, go on. Quickly. You get about 30 seconds.
That's it. We just got to be mindful and understand that in this day and age, it's relying more on us to raise and make sure our young individuals make better decisions.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Just as we go, I just want to make one more note. I was looking for a list of censored plays and films. I could not find one online, but Miss Erica Mariah James shared with me that when she was working at NAGB, she attempted to host a trilogy by Deepa Mehta, and one part of the trilogy called Fire was censored and labeling by the control board, even though this was an artistic expression like event. Thank you, Mr. Dean. I really would like to get you back on air soon. I don't know what we could do about your schedule, but you better keep working because you're doing a good job. Thanks for this spotlight into the geek out community and things that are going on in the country, and I hope to have you back on soon.
Thank you, no problem. Just reach out and we can always arrange some.
Absolutely. And for the listening audience, you can familiarize yourself with the theaters and cinemas censorship regulations. Just search that and it'll pop up online. Thank you, producer. Thank you, Ronnie Butler. I'm all out of time. Guardian Radio AM and CA Nuri is up next. Have a great day, Bahamas.
Yeah.